The rain hammered against my apartment window like it had a personal vendetta against the glass. I'd been staring at the eviction notice on my kitchen table for 20 minutes, the words blurring together until they stopped making sense. Final warning. 72 hours. Vacate premises. 72 hours to find $3,400 I didn't have. 72 hours before my 6-year-old daughter and I were on the street. I pressed my palms against my eyes, fighting back the burn of tears I couldn't afford to shed. Crying didn't pay rent. Crying didn't fill Sophie's empty stomach or fix the hole in her winter coat. I was a nurse, for God's sake. I saved lives every night at Chicago Memorial's but I couldn't save my own. The knock came at 2:17 a.m., not the timid tap of a neighbor needing sugar, not the aggressive bang of my landlord demanding money. This was different, desperate, urgent, the kind of knock that said someone's life depended on what happened next. Every instinct screamed at me to ignore it. Nothing good came from opening your door at 2 a.m. in this neighborhood, but I was a nurse, and that knock sounded like someone dying. I grabbed the baseball bat I kept by the door and checked the peephole. A man stood in the hallway, swaying on his feet. Even through the distorted fisheye lens, I could see he didn't belong here. Designer suit, probably Italian, soaked through with rain and something darker. Blood. So much blood. His hand was pressed against his side, and, even from here, I could see it wasn't working. The blood seeped through his fingers, dripping onto our stained hallway carpet. Please. His voice carried through the door, accented and rough with pain. Help. I should have called 911. Should have left him for the professionals. Should have protected Sophie, asleep in our only bedroom, from whatever violence had found our doorstep. Instead, I opened the door. The man nearly collapsed into me. Up close, he was devastating, all sharp cheekbones and dark eyes that burned with intensity despite the obvious agony. Mid-30s, maybe? Tall, broad-shouldered, the kind of presence that commanded attention even while bleeding out. Inside, I hissed, glancing down the hallway. Empty, thank God. I half-dragged, half-carried him through my doorway, kicking it shut behind us. He collapsed onto my threadbare couch, and I saw the wound clearly now. Gunshot. Through him by the look of it, entry wound in his side, exit wound in his back. He was lucky a few inches to the right, and he'd already be dead. Don't move, I ordered, my nurse training overriding everything else. I ran to the bathroom, grabbing my medical kit, the one I kept stocked for Sophie's scraped knees and my own occupational hazards. It wasn't equipped for gunshot wounds, but it would have to do. When I returned, his eyes tracked me with unnerving focus. Your name, he rasped. That's really not important right now. Your name, not a request. A demand, even while dying on my couch. Maya, I said, kneeling beside him, scissors already cutting away his blood-soaked shirt. The fabric was silk, expensive. Maya-chan, Dante Caruso. He smiled faintly, like he'd just won something. Remember it. I pressed gauze against the wound, and he barely flinched. His pain tolerance was inhuman. I need to call an ambulance. No. His hands shot out, gripping my wrist with surprising strength. No hospitals, no police. No questions. You've been shot. You need you. His dark eyes locked onto mine, and I felt pinned by that gaze. I need you, Maya-chan. Can you save me or not? I looked at this stranger bleeding on my furniture, bringing violence and danger into the home where my daughter slept. Every rational thought screamed to refuse, to call for help, to protect myself. But his eyes held something beyond pain. Desperation? Trust? Like he'd bet everything on me saying yes. I can stabilize you, I heard myself whisper. But you need real medical care. Antibiotics, proper sutures. Tomorrow. Tonight. I just need to not die on your couch. I worked quickly, efficiently, falling into the rhythm of emergency medicine. Clean the wound, pack with hemostatic gauze, pressure, temporary sutures. He watched me the entire time, never making a sound, and I felt the weight of his attention like a physical thing. You're good at this, he observed, his voice steadier now. 4 years in the you see enough gunshot wounds, you learn. I wrapped the final bandage. This won't hold long. You really need 3 short knocks, interrupted me. A pattern. Signal. Dante's entire demeanor changed, relaxing slightly. My men, you're what? He pushed himself upright with a wince. Thank you, Maya-chan. You saved my life tonight. His hand cupped my face, thumb brushing my cheek with unexpected gentleness. Now our protectors, you do. You just don't know it yet. He moved toward the door, each step controlled despite his injury. Before opening it, he looked back at me, and his smile was pure predator. My men will be stationed outside, around your building, watching, protecting. You're mine now, Kara, whether you want to be or not. The door opened to reveal 3 men in dark suits, and Dante disappeared into the hallway, leaving me standing in my apartment with blood on my hands and the terrible certainty that I'd just changed my life forever. I didn't sleep. How could I, with a stranger's blood still staining my bathroom tiles and the memory of those dark eyes burning into mine? When dawn finally crept through my cracked window, I dragged myself to the kitchen for coffee, desperate for something normal. That's when I noticed the window wasn't cracked anymore. I blinked, certain I was hallucinating from exhaustion. But no, the window I'd been meaning to fix for 8 months, the one held together with duct tape and prayers, was whole. New. Professional installation, clean caulking, like it had always been perfect. My hands trembled as I opened the refrigerator. It was full. Not just full overflowing. Organic produce, premium meats, fresh bread from that bakery on Michigan Avenue I'd only ever walked past. Real butter. Imported cheese. The kind of groceries I saw in other people's carts and tried not to feel bitter about. Mummy? I spun around. Sophie stood in her pajamas, clutching Mr. Whiskers, her ancient stuffed rabbit. Her blonde hair stuck up in every direction, and her blue eyes were wide with confusion. Why is there a new tablet on the couch? Ice flooded my veins. I rushed to the living room. There, sitting on my threadbare sofa, exactly where Dante had bled last night, was a brand new iPad. Top of the line, still in its box. A pink case beside it, with Sophie's name embroidered on it. How did he know her name? How did he know she'd wanted a tablet for her birthday, the one I couldn't afford? I found the envelope on the kitchen counter, tucked beside the coffee maker. Thick, cream-colored paper. Expensive. Inside, a stack of $100 bills that made my vision blur. I counted with shaking hands. $10,000. A note card, heavy stock, elegant handwriting. For your trouble, D. Mummy, can I keep the tablet? Sophie's voice was hopeful, excited in a way I hadn't heard in months. I looked at my daughter, at the hole in her pajamas I'd been meaning to patch, at Mr. Whiskers with his missing eye and threadbare ears, at the eviction notice still on the table, demanding money I didn't have. We'll see, baby, I managed. Get dressed for school, okay? After I dropped Sophie at PS 142, I noticed them. Men. Everywhere. One stood outside my building entrance, hands clasped in front of him, eyes scanning the street like a Secret Service agent. Another sat in a black SUV across from the bus stop. A third leaned against the corner bodega, too well dressed for this neighborhood, watching everyone who passed. They didn't hide, they wanted to be seen. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. The guards say you saved my life. Now I protect yours. We'll talk soon. Dante stared at the message, fury and fear warring in my chest. I hadn't asked for this. Hadn't asked for guards or money or iPads or this suffocating weight of obligation. I typed back, I don't want your money or your protection. Leave us alone. The response came immediately. What you want and what you need are different things, Kara. You'll understand soon. Mrs. Rodriguez from 3B cornered me in the hallway when I got home. Mia, you see the security company, she whispered, eyes wide. They showed up at 6 this morning. Very professional, very expensive looking. Someone important must have hired them. I don't know anything about it, I lied. Well, I feel safer already. This building, you know how it is. Break-ins, vandalism. Maybe now things change. That night, I tried to pretend everything was normal. Made Sophie dinner with the fancy groceries I told myself I'd return tomorrow. Helped with her homework. Read her bedtime stories. At 11:47 p.m., I heard sounds in the hallway. Scratching. Metal on metal. Someone was trying to pick my lock. My heart seized. I grabbed my phone, ready to dial 911, but before I could, I heard voices. Movement. A sharp cry of pain. Then nothing. Silence. A knock controlled, professional. I checked the peephole. A massive man in a dark suit stood there, holding a business card. Behind him, 2 other men were dragging someone down the hallway toward the stairs. My hands shook as I opened the door on the chain. Marco, the man said, his accent thick. Italian, like Dante's. He held out the card through the gap. Boss wants to see you. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. Non-negotiable. I took the card. Heavy stock. Embossed lettering. Just an address in the Gold Coast. And a time. Marco's expression didn't change. The man who tried your door won't bother you again. None of them will. You're protected now, Miss Chun. He nodded once. Sleep well. He left, and I stood there holding the card, my entire body trembling. Through my new window, I watched the black SUV pull away, the unconscious intruder in the trunk. I looked at the card again. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. Dante Caruso wanted to see me. And I had the terrible feeling that refusing wasn't actually an option. Marco picked me up at exactly 7 p.m. in a black SUV that smelled like leather and something darker I didn't want to identify. Gun oil, maybe. Violence. Sophie was with Mrs. Rodriguez. Bribed with $20 I couldn't spare, and the promise I'd be back by 9. I'd told her it was a work thing. The lie tasted bitter, but what was I supposed to say? I'm meeting the mafia boss who's apparently decided he owns me now. Nervous? Marco asked, his eyes on the road. Should I be? His mouth twitched, almost a smile. Boss doesn't hurt women. Especially not ones who save his life. That's not as reassuring as you think it is. We drove north into the Gold Coast, where the buildings grew taller and the cars more expensive with every block. Marco pulled up to a glass high-rise that looked like it cost more than my entire neighborhood. A doorman opened my door before I could reach for the handle. Miss Chun, he said, like he'd been expecting me. Mr. Caruso was waiting. The lobby was all marble and modern art, the kind of space that made me acutely aware of my Target jeans and clearance rack sweater. Marco guided me to a private elevator that required a keycard. When the doors closed, my reflection stared back from mirrored walls, a tired woman with dark circles under her eyes, completely out of place in this world of wealth and power. The elevator opened directly into a penthouse. I stepped out and forgot to breathe. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Lake Michigan, the water dark and endless under the night sky. The furniture was modern, expensive, arranged with the kind of casual precision that screamed interior designer. Abstract art covered the wall's originals, I realized, not prints. Everything was pristine, perfect, utterly impersonal, except for the photographs. They covered an entire wall, dozens of frames, all showing the same little boy. Dark hair, serious eyes that looked exactly like Dante's. Age progression from infant to maybe 5 or 6 years old. Birthday parties, beach vacations, first day of school. A life documented in painful detail. My son, Luca. I spun around. Dante stood in a doorway and I barely recognized him. Gone was the bleeding, desperate man from my couch. This Dante wore tailored charcoal slacks and a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled to his forearms. His dark hair was perfectly styled, his presence filling the enormous space like he owned not just the penthouse but the entire building. He probably did. He's beautiful, I said, because it was true and because I didn't know what else to say. Something softened in Dante's expression. He's at boarding school in Switzerland. Safer there. The admission landed like a punch. This man lived in a world so dangerous he couldn't even keep his own child close. How old is he? Same as your Sophie. Dante moved closer, and I fought the urge to step back. I know everything about you, Maya. Your daughter's school, her favorite color, that she wants to be a veterinarian, your shifts at Chicago Memorial, your debt, your eviction notice. Ice flooded my veins. You investigated me. I protect what's mine. That requires information. I'm not yours. Why am I here? I cut him off, anger overriding fear. The guards, the money, the groceries, the iPad for Sophie. What do you want from me? Dante stopped a foot away, close enough that I could smell his cologne, something woodsy and expensive that probably cost more than my rent. I want you to understand something. 3 years ago, my wife was killed. Car bomb meant for me. She died, and I sent my son away because loving him made him a target. His jaw tightened, and I saw real pain flicker across his face. Since then, I've been careful. No attachments, no vulnerabilities, no one close enough to use against me. Then why? Because you didn't hesitate. His hand lifted, fingers brushing my cheek, and electricity shot down my spine. You saw me bleeding and you helped. No questions. No fear. Just kindness. Do you know how rare that is in my world? I should step back. Should slap his hand away. Should run from this penthouse and this man and everything he represented. But I didn't move. You're a liability now, Maya, Dante continued, his voice dropping lower. My enemies will assume you matter to me. And in my world, assumptions become targets. So you do matter to me. I protect what's mine. I'm not yours, I whispered, but the words came out breathless, unconvincing. Dante stepped closer, invading my space completely, his body inches from mine. His hand slid to cut my jaw, tilting my face up to meet his dark, burning eyes. You became mine the moment you opened that door, he said softly, and I heard absolute certainty in every word. The sooner you accept that, the easier this will be. His thumb traced my bottom lip, and I forgot how to breathe. Now, he murmured, let me show you exactly what being mine means. 2 weeks. 14 days of living in a fishbowl, watched and guarded and suffocated by Dante Caruso's so-called protection. The guards became fixtures of my life like unwanted furniture I couldn't return. Marco stationed outside my apartment door every night. A rotating team of stone-faced men in expensive suits escorting me to work, to Sophie's school, to the grocery store. Always 3 steps behind, always there. My co-workers noticed. Dr. Patterson pulled me aside on my 3rd shift, concern creasing her face. Maya, is everything okay? Those men who've been picking you up, ... Security, I said, the lie smoothed now from repetition. My ex has been ... difficult. Just a precaution. She bought it. Everyone bought it. What else could they think? The gifts kept coming. A new winter coat appeared on my doorstep, cashmere designer, the kind I'd never dream of buying. Sophie's worn backpack was replaced by a pristine North Face one, perfectly sized for a 6-year-old. Our building's broken elevator suddenly worked, repaired overnight by a generous anonymous donor. Every gift felt like another bar in my cage. Mrs. Rodriguez gushed about how safe the building felt now. How the drug dealers on the corner had vanished. How no one dared graffiti the walls anymore. She didn't understand. Safety and freedom weren't the same thing. Sophie asked questions I couldn't answer. Why do the nice men always follow us? Are they policemen? Does everyone have people like Marco? They're just making sure we're safe, baby. Safe from what? I had no good answer. By day 12, I was ready to scream. I couldn't breathe without someone watching. Couldn't make a decision without wondering if Dante would approve. My life wasn't mine anymore. It belonged to a man who'd bled on my couch and decided that gave him ownership. That night, after Sophie fell asleep, I called the number Dante had given me. He answered on the first ring. Maya. Just my name. But I heard satisfaction in it, like he'd been waiting for this call. Call off your men, I said, my voice shaking with fury. I didn't ask for this. I don't want this prison you've built around me. It's not a prison. His voice was maddeningly calm. It's protection. Same thing from where I'm standing, is it? A pause. 3 people have tried to get information about you this week, Maya. Asked your neighbors questions. Followed you from work. 2 attempted to access your building. Ice crawled down my spine. What? All 3 are now ... handled. The word carried weight, implications I didn't want to examine. You don't see the threats because my men eliminate them before they reach you. That's what protection looks like. I didn't ask you to. You saved my life. That made you visible to people who want me dead. This isn't a choice anymore, Kara. Accept my protection or risk what happens without it. I wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him to go to hell, to take his guards and his gifts and his suffocating care, and leave me alone. But fear won. Because if what he said was true, if people were already targeting me, how long? My voice came out smaller than I intended. As long as it takes. I hung up, my hands trembling. Stared at my apartment, the new window, the full fridge, Sophie's expensive tablet charging on the counter. Evidence of Dante's reach, his power, his absolute conviction that I belonged to him. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. My blood turned to ice. It was a photo. Sophie at her school playground laughing on the swings. Taken today, judging by her clothes. A candid shot, zoomed in, professional quality. Another photo loaded. Me leaving the hospital last night, caught in profile, unaware of the camera. Then another. Sophie and me at the park last Sunday. The final message made my vision blur. Pretty nurse, pretty daughter. Such a shame about the company you keep. Cut ties with Caruso, or we'll cut them for you. You have 48 hours. Couldn't think. Breathe. Someone had been watching us, photographing us, getting close enough to... I called Dante back with shaking hands. Marco said you hung up angry. He started. Someone sent me photos. My voice cracked. Of Sophie. Of me. They know where she goes to school. They're threatening. I'm on my way. Don't move. Don't open the door for anyone except Marco. Dante? I'm coming, Maya. 5 minutes. You're safe. I promise you're safe. The line went dead, and I stood there clutching my phone, staring at photos of my daughter, and finally understanding. This wasn't about control. It was about survival, and I'd just run out of choices. Dante arrived in 4 minutes, not 5. I heard the commotion in the hallway, multiple footsteps, Marco's deep voice giving orders, then Dante's sharp knock. When I opened the door, 6 men flooded into my tiny apartment like a SWAT team. Dante stood in the center, his expression carved from ice, wearing the same clothes he'd had on earlier. He'd dropped everything to come. His eyes found mine, and something flickered in them. Fear. Real, raw fear. Show me. I handed him my phone with shaking hands. Watched his face as he scrolled through the photos, his jaw tightening with each image. When he reached the final threat, his knuckles went white around the device. Victor Kozlov, he said quietly, and the name sounded like a death sentence. Russian. Ambitious. Stupid enough to think threatening you will make me back down from the territory dispute we have. Territory dispute? My voice came out high, thin. This is about real estate? This is about power. Dante's eyes met mine, and I saw something lethal burning there. He's using you to get to me. Trying to prove I'm weak, that caring about someone makes me vulnerable. Then tell him I don't matter. Tell him it's too late for that. Dante stepped closer, his hand cupping my face with surprising gentleness. The moment my men surrounded your building, the moment I sent those gifts, the moment I looked at you like you're the only thing keeping me human, he knew. They all knew. His thumb brushed my cheekbone, and despite everything, despite the fear and anger and absolute insanity of this situation, I felt my breath catch. Pack a bag, he said softly. You and Sophie, essentials only. You're staying at one of my properties until this is resolved. No, the word came out automatically. Absolutely not. I'm not letting you uproot our entire lives. Look at those photos again, Maya. His voice went hard. Look at your daughter on that playground, completely unprotected. Victor's men were close enough to take those pictures. Close enough to touch her. Close enough to... He stopped, jaw clenched, but I heard what he didn't say. Close enough to take her. My knees went weak. I gripped the counter to stay upright. If something happens to Sophie because I'm too proud, too stubborn to accept help, Dot dot dup, Bocked my voice broke. I can't risk her. I know. Dante's arms came around me, and I let myself lean into his strength for just a moment. He smelled like cologne and danger and something steadier like safety, despite everything my rational mind screamed. Pack. 30 minutes. Marco will help. Sophie woke during the chaos of packing, confused and scared by the strange men in our apartment. I knelt beside her, smoothing her tangled hair. Baby, we're going on a little trip, okay? Like an adventure. Where? Her bottom lip trembled. Before I could answer, Dante crouched down to her level, his expression transforming into something gentle. Somewhere safe, Piccola. Somewhere with a big bathtub and your own room. Promise you'll like it. Sophie studied him with a 6-year-old's brutal honesty. Are you Mummy's friend? Yes, Dante said simply. And I'm going to make sure nothing bad happens to either of you. That's a promise. Something in his voice, absolute conviction, unshakable certainty, made Sophie nod. Okay. Can I bring Mr. Whiskers? You can bring anything you want. 40 minutes later, we were in Dante's UV, driving through Chicago's night streets. Sophie fell asleep against my shoulder, clutching Mr. Whiskers. I stared out the window, watching my old life disappear behind tinted glass. We pulled up to a luxury building in Lincoln Park. The apartment was on the 8th floor. 2 bedrooms, modern furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the park. It was beautiful, impersonal, and nothing like home. The building has 24-hour security, Dante explained, as Marco carried our bags inside. My men on every entrance, cameras everywhere. No one gets in without clearance. How long? I asked, exhausted. As long as it takes to handle Victor.
Handle.
That word again. Heavy with implications. Sophie explored her new room-purple walls. A bed bigger than our entire apartment couch. Stuffed animals she'd never seen before arranged on the shelves. Someone had prepared this space for a little girl. Dante had prepared it. When? I asked quietly. 3 days ago. After the first attempt on your building. He met my eyes. I was hoping you wouldn't need it. But I'm always prepared for the worst. That night, after Sophie finally fell asleep in her giant new bed, Dante and I stood on the balcony. Chicago glittered below us, beautiful and distant and utterly foreign. I'm scared, I admitted. I know. His hand found mine in the darkness. But you're safe here. Maya, I swear it. You can't promise that. Watch me. Days blurred together in the safe house like watercolors running into each other. I took emergency leave from the hospital. Dante arranged it somehow, pulling strings I didn't want to examine. Sophie video chatted with her teacher, completed assignments on her expensive tablet, talked to her friends through screens instead of playgrounds. The guards rotated shifts outside our door. Silent sentinels I stopped noticing after the 3rd day, and Dante ... Dante visited every evening. He arrived at 6 like clockwork, always carrying takeout from restaurants I couldn't pronounce. Thai one night, Italian the next. Sophie's favorite pizza on Thursday. How did he know she liked pepperoni with extra cheese? How did he remember I was allergic to shellfish? He sat on the floor with Sophie, looking absurd in his $1,000 suit, helping with first-grade math homework with the patience of a saint. She showed him her drawings, elaborate scenes of unicorns and rainbows, and he studied each one like it was museum-worthy art. This one's you, Sophie announced on day 5, pointing to a stick figure with dark hair. And that's Mummy. And that's me. We're a family. I froze, waiting for Dante to correct her, to establish boundaries, to remind my daughter this was temporary. Instead, he smiled. It's beautiful, Piccola. Can I keep it? Sophie beamed. Really? Really? I'll put it somewhere special. After Sophie fell asleep each night, Dante and I gravitated to the balcony. We'd sit with glasses of wine, expensive bottles he'd produced from somewhere, and talk about everything and nothing. He told me about growing up in Naples, his father's import business that was anything but legitimate, the day he realized what his family really was. I was 12, Dante said one night, his voice quiet. Came home from school and found 3 men bleeding in our kitchen. My father was stitching one up himself. No hospital, no doctors, just ... handling it. He looked at me and said, "This is our world, Dante. Get used to it, or get out." Did you ever think about getting out? Every day. His laugh was bitter. But I'm my father's son. The moment he died, the empire became mine. The men, the territory, the enemies, all of it. I was 25 and suddenly responsible for 300 people's livelihoods. I thought about being 25, about Sophie being 2, about struggling through nursing school as a single mother. Different circumstances, same crushing weight of responsibility. Luca's mother, I ventured carefully. You said it was a car accident? Dante's jaw tightened. I lied. It was a bomb. Meant for me. She was just collateral damage. His voice went hollow. We weren't in love. It was arranged. Families merging territories. But she didn't deserve to die for my mistakes. That's why you sent Luca away. That's why I sent him away, he confirmed. Loving him makes him a target. So I love him from a distance and pray it's enough to keep him alive. The pain in his voice cracked something open in my chest. Without thinking, I reached across the small table and took his hand. His fingers immediately threaded through mine, holding tight like I was an anchor in rough seas. You're a good father, I said softly. Even from Switzerland, even through phones and video calls. He knows you love him. That's what matters. Dante's eyes found mine in the darkness. What does your love look like, Maya? The question caught me off guard. What? You love Sophie with everything you have. I see it in how you sacrifice, how you work yourself to exhaustion, how you'd burn the world for her. What does that kind of love look like when it's given to someone who isn't your child? My breath caught. The air between us thickened, charged with something dangerous and inevitable. I don't know, I whispered. It's been so long since I let myself love anyone besides Sophie. Her father. I stopped, the old wound still tender. He taught me that loving someone means giving them the power to destroy you, and you'd think I'd destroy you. I looked at this man who'd invaded my life, turned it upside down, surrounded me with guards and gifts and suffocating protection. This man who was gentle with my daughter, who brought dinner every night, who spoke about his own son with devastating honesty. I think you already are, I admitted, just differently than I expected. Dante stood, pulling me up with him, and suddenly we were inches apart on the small balcony. His free hand lifted to cup my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone with aching gentleness. I think about you constantly, he murmured. About how you looked that first night, fierce and terrified, saving a stranger because it was the right thing to do. About how you make Sophie laugh. About what it would feel like to... He stopped, jaw clenching. To what? My voice was barely audible. To kiss you. To hold you. To give you everything you deserve and more. To be someone worthy of the way you look at me sometimes. Like I'm not a monster. You're not. I am. His voice was rough. I've killed men, Maya. Ordered deaths. Built an empire on violence and fear. But when I'm with you, when I'm helping Sophie with homework or listening to you talk about your shift at the hospital, I feel almost ... human. My heart hammered against my ribs. Dante, tell me to stop, he breathed, leaning closer. Tell me this is insane, that we barely know each other, that I'm dangerous and you should run. Tell me, and I will. I'll step back, keep my distance, be nothing but your protector. I should. Every rational thought screamed to protect myself, to remember what happened the last time I trusted a man with my heart. But looking into Dante's dark eyes, feeling the tremor in his hand against my face, seeing the vulnerability he showed no one else, I couldn't. What if I don't want you to stop? I whispered. His control shattered. Dante kissed me like a man starving, like I was oxygen and he'd been drowning. His hand tangled in my hair, the other pulling me flush against him, and I melted into his strength. The kiss was claiming, devastating, full of promise and possession, and something that felt dangerously like need. When we finally broke apart, both breathless, Dante rested his forehead against mine. "You're mine now, Maya-chan," he breathed. "Tell me you understand that." "I understand," I whispered back. "And God help me, I meant it." I woke to the sound of gunfire. Not on TV, not in the distance. Right outside our door. My nurse training kicked in before conscious thought, grab Sophie, assess danger, find safety. I was out of bed and running to her room when Marco burst through our door, weapon drawn, his face grim. "Bathroom. Now." "What's happening, move?" I scooped Sophie from her bed, her sleepy confusion turning to terror as she registered the shouting, the sharp cracks of gunshots, the controlled chaos erupting around us. Marco herded us into the master bathroom, the only room without windows, and I locked us inside with trembling hands. "Mummy, I'm scared," Sophie whimpered against my chest. "I know, baby. I know. Close your eyes, cover your ears. It'll be over soon. Please God, let it be over soon." The gunfire lasted 8 minutes. 8 minutes that felt like 8 hours, each second stretched into eternity. I counted Sophie's heartbeats against mine, sang softly in her ear. Tried to be the calm in her storm while my own heart threatened to explode. Then silence. Horrible, ringing silence. Footsteps in the hallway, heavy. Multiple people. "Maya." Dante's voice, sharp with urgency. "It's over. You're safe." I unlocked the door with shaking hands. The apartment looked like a war zone. Bullet holes pocked the walls. Glass from the shattered balcony door glittered on the floor. 3 of Dante's men sat bleeding, one clutching his shoulder, another pressing gauze to his thigh, a third being bandaged by Marco. No bodies. They'd already been removed. And Dante stood in the center of it all, gun still in hand, his white shirt splattered with blood. Not his blood, I noted with clinical detachment. His eyes found mine and relief crashed across his face so powerfully I felt it in my chest. "Are you hurt?" He crossed to us in 3 strides, hands running over me, checking for injuries with the frantic precision of someone who'd lost people before. "We're fine." Sophie, don't look, but she'd already seen the blood, the guns, the reality of the world her mother had fallen into. Dante crouched to her level, holstering his weapon. "Hey, Piccola, you okay?" Sophie's lip trembled. "The loud noises, double quotes, I know." "Sorry." Genuine remorse softened his features. "But you're safe now. Your mum's safe. That's what matters." He stood, his expression hardening, as he turned to Marco. "Victor? Sent 12 men, 5 dead, 4 captured, 3 escaped. Where is he?" "Warehouse in Pilsen. My source confirmed it an hour ago." Dante's jaw clenched, and I saw the calculation in his eyes. The decision being made. "You're going after him," I said. "Not a question. Have to." He looked at me and I saw something dangerous burning in his dark eyes. "He attacked you here, Maya. Sent men to where my son sleeps. He crossed every line that exists in our world. This ends tonight. Let me come with you." The words tumbled out before I could stop them. "Absolutely not. I'm a trauma nurse. If someone gets hurt, they die." His voice went cold, lethal. This isn't about saving lives. This is about ending one." The blunt truth stole my breath. Dante stepped closer, his hands framing my face. "I need you here. Need to know you and Sophie are safe with Marco and my best men. That's the only way I can do what needs to be done. What if it's a trap?" Fear clawed up my throat. "What if you don't come back?" "Then Marco takes you and Sophie to a safe house in Geneva. New identities. Enough money to disappear forever. I've already arranged everything, Dante. But I am coming back." His forehead pressed against mine. "Because I have something worth coming back to now. Someone who makes me want to be more than just a killer." He kissed me then, desperate, claiming like he was memorizing the taste of me. When he pulled back, his eyes burned with intensity. "I love you," he said, and the words hit like a physical blow. I know it's fast. I know it's insane, but I love you, Maya-chan. You and Sophie both. You've given me something I thought I'd lost. A reason beyond revenge and duty. My throat closed. Don't say it like you're saying goodbye. I'm not. He kissed my forehead, gentle, despite the violence still humming through him. I'm saying it in case I don't get another chance. But I will. I'm coming back, Amor. Count on it. He turned to leave and panic seized me. Dante, wait! He looked back and I saw everything in his eyes. Promise. Possession. Love. I love you too. I whispered, the words I'd been too scared to say finally breaking free. God help me, but I love you. So you come back. You hear me? You come back to us. His smile was brilliant, transforming his face completely. Always. Then he was gone, taking Marco and 10 armed men with him, leaving me alone with Sophie and 4 guards, and the terrible certainty that nothing would ever be the same. I held my daughter close and prayed to a God I wasn't sure listened anymore. Please, bring him home. Time moved differently when someone you loved was out killing people. Sophie finally cried herself to sleep around 3 a.m., exhausted from fear and confusion. I carried her to the guest bedroom. Her purple room was filled with bullet holes and shattered glass. Anne tucked her in with Mr. Whiskers. Her face was blotchy, tear-stained, and I hated myself for bringing this violence into her world. The 4 guards Dante left behind rotated positions with military precision. 1 at the door, 1 in the hallway, 2 sweeping the building perimeter. They moved like ghosts, silent and lethal, and I wondered how many men they'd killed in Dante's service. I wondered how many Dante was killing right now. I paced the living room, my phone clutched in my hand like a lifeline. Every minute that passed without word felt like an eternity. Was he hurt? Captured? Dead in some warehouse while I stood here helpless? The apartment smelled like gunpowder and blood. I should clean it. My nurse brain catalogued the bullet trajectories, the blood spatter patterns, the evidence of violence. But my hands wouldn't stop shaking long enough to hold a mop. Miss Chun, one of the guards, Yunda, with kind eyes, appeared with a bottle of water. You should sit. Drink something. I can't. My voice cracked. What if he, boss, always comes back? Simple certainty. Always. But people died. I saw it every shift at the hospital. Good people, strong people, people who thought they were invincible until a bullet or a blade proved them wrong. At 4:37 a.m. my phone buzzed. My hand shook so badly I almost dropped it. Stun. Victor won't threaten you again. Ever. Relief flooded through me so powerfully my knees buckled. I sank onto the couch, pressing the phone to my chest, breathing for what felt like the first time in hours. He was alive. But the word done echoed in my mind. Victor was dead. Dante had killed him, ordered it done, which amounted to the same thing. A man was dead because of me, because Victor had threatened me and Sophie and crossed lines in Dante's world that I didn't fully understand. I should feel horror, revulsion. This was murder, not self-defense. Instead, I felt safe. What did that make me? Dante returned at dawn, the sun just beginning to paint the sky pink. I heard the commotion in the hallway, the guards' greetings. Then the door opened and there he was. Alive. Whole. Marked by violence but breathing. His suit jacket was gone, his white shirt torn and blood-stained. A cut above his eyebrow dripped blood down his temple. His knuckles were split and swelling. But his eyes found mine immediately, dark and burning and relieved. You came back, I whispered. I promised. His voice was rough, exhausted. I crossed to him, my hands already cataloguing injuries with clinical precision. Sit. Let me see. Maya? I'm fine. Sit down, Dante. He obeyed, sinking onto the couch, and I fetched my medical kit. Hands were steadier now, purpose overriding fear. I cleaned the cut on his forehead shallow, Wouldn't need stitches. Examined his ribs, bruised but not broken. Bandaged his knuckles with careful precision. He watched me work, silent, and I felt the weight of his gaze. You should run from me, he said quietly. From this life, this violence. Take Sophie and disappear like I planned. I'd let you go, Maya. I'd give you everything you need and never contact you again. My hand stilled on his. Is that what you want? I want you safe. I want Sophie safe. I want... His voice cracked. I want things I have no right to want. I thought about the last 6 hours. About holding Sophie while gunfire erupted. About praying for a man who'd just killed someone. About the relief I felt seeing him alive, blood-stained and dangerous and mine. What if I want them too? I whispered. His eyes widened. You don't know what you're saying. I know exactly what I'm saying. I cupped his face, forcing him to look at me. I'm terrified. Of you. Of this world. Of what loving you means. But I'm more terrified of walking away and spending the rest of my life wondering, what if, Maya, you're a killer? The words came out steady, honest. You run an empire built on violence. You've done terrible things, and you'll probably do more. I leaned closer, my forehead touching his. But you're also the man who helps my daughter with homework. Who looks at her drawings like they're art. Who sent your own son away to keep him safe. Who came back tonight because you promised. Tears burned my eyes. I see all of you, Dante. The darkness and the light. And I'm choosing you anyway. His control shattered. He pulled me into his lap, kissing me like I was oxygen, and he'd been drowning. His hands tangled in my hair, desperate and claiming, and I tasted blood and violence and promise on his lips. I love you, he breathed against my mouth. Dio, I love you so much it terrifies me. I love you too. The words came easier now, inevitable. Just anything. Promise me something. Always come home, no matter what. You come home to us. His arms tightened around me. Always, Amor. Always. We stayed like that as dawn broke over Chicago. Two broken people holding each other together, building something impossible out of blood and bullets and love. The movers arrived 3 days after Victor died. I stood in my old apartment, the one I'd been evicted from. The one Dante had somehow kept in my name, paid through the end of the year and watched strangers pack my life into boxes. Sophie's drawings, our thrift store dishes, the threadbare couch where Dante had first bled. You don't have to do this, I said as Dante leaned against the doorframe, watching. Keep the apartment. We can come back when it's safe. His expression was unreadable. It will never be that kind of safe, Maya. There will always be another Victor, another threat, another enemy who sees you as a way to hurt me. He moved closer, his hand finding mine. But I can give you a different kind of safe, if you'll let me. What does that mean? Come with me. He drove us to Oak Park. Sophie chattering excitedly in the back seat about her new school private, expensive, the one Dante had enrolled her in without asking permission. I should have been angry about that, about him making decisions for us. But when Sophie talked about art classes and a real playground and teachers who remembered her name, I couldn't find the rage. We pulled up to a grey stone house that looked like something from a magazine. 3 stories, a wraparound porch, a yard with actual grass. A swing set stood in the back, brand new, waiting. What is this? I breathed. Home. Dante's voice was soft. If you want it to be. Sophie was already out of the car, racing toward the swing set with the fearless joy of a 6-year-old who'd forgotten the gunfire from 3 nights ago. Children were resilient like that. I envied her. You bought a house. I couldn't process it. When? Last week, after the attack. He opened my door, helped me out. I've been living in penthouses and safe houses for years, Maya. Spaces to sleep, not places to live. But you and Sophie, you deserve roots. Stability. A home that's actually yours. He led me inside, and my breath caught. Hardwood floors gleamed under afternoon sunlight. The kitchen had granite counters and stainless steel appliances. Upstairs, 3 bedrooms, one with purple walls and a canopy bed that would make Sophie scream with joy. "The master has an en-suite," Dante said, watching my face. "And I converted the 3rd bedroom into an office for you. For when you finish your nursing degree," I spun to face him. "I can't afford. You're not paying for it." His voice was gentle, but firm. "This is mine. I'm giving it to you." "To us, Dante, this is too much. A house, Sophie's school, everything I can't just take. Then don't take it." He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket, and my heart stopped. "Earn it. Build it with me. Make it ours." He opened the box. A ring sat nestled in silk, simple, elegant, a single diamond that caught the light and shattered it into rainbows. Not ostentatious. Perfect. "I'm not asking you to marry me," Dante said, his voice rough with emotion. "Not yet. Sophie deserves time to adjust, to know me, to understand what this means. But I'm asking you to build a life with me, Maya, to let me be the man who protects you, provides for you, loves you both the way you deserve." He took the ring from the box, held it between us like a promise. "Wear this. Let the world know you're mine. Let my enemies know touching you means war. Let yourself know that I'm here, that I'm not going anywhere. That this," he gestured to the house, to Sophie's laughter floating through the windows, "to us. This is real." My hands trembled as I held them out. What if I mess this up? What if I can't handle this world, this life? Then we figure it out together. He slid the ring onto my finger, and it fit perfectly. Of course it did. Spent years alone, Maya, building walls, keeping everyone at a distance, protecting myself by never caring too much. Then you opened your door at 2 a.m. and saved a stranger's life, and everything changed. His hands framed my face, thumbs brushing away tears I hadn't realized were falling. You made me want to be better, to come home to someone, to build instead of just destroy. Sophie made me remember what it feels like to be trusted by someone innocent. His voice dropped to a whisper. "I need you both, more than I've needed anything in my life. So please, Kara, say yes." I looked at the ring on my finger, gleaming and impossible, looked at this house he'd bought for us, looked at Sophie through the window, swinging fearlessly, already home, looked at Dante, dangerous, complicated, deadly, and offering me the world. "Yes," I whispered. "Yes, to all of it. The house, the ring, the life. Yes." His smile was brilliant, transforming his entire face. He kissed me then, soft and reverent and full of promise, and I tasted our future on his lips. Outside, Sophie squealed with delight. Inside, I finally let myself believe in happy endings. 6 months later, I woke to sunlight streaming through curtains I'd chosen myself, soft cream linen that filtered the morning light into something golden and warm. Dante's arm was wrapped around my waist, his breathing deep and even against my neck. I studied his face in sleep. The hard lines softened, the constant vigilance finally at rest. In 6 months, I'd learnt every expression, every tell. The way his jaw tightened when Marco reported threats. The softness that transformed his features when Sophie showed him her latest art project. The hunger in his eyes when he looked at me like I was the only thing keeping him human. We weren't married yet. Sophie wasn't ready, and Dante refused to rush her. But I wore his ring every day, and neighbors assumed we were husband and wife. Close enough. My life had transformed so completely, it felt like someone else's. I worked 3 days a week at a private clinic. Dante had helped establish real medicine, challenging cases, without the soul-crushing exhaustion of a night shifts. Sophie thrived at her new school, making friends, bringing home paintings that covered our refrigerator. The guards were still there, always, but I barely noticed them anymore. They were just part of our landscape now. "You're thinking too loud," Dante murmured, pulling me closer. "It's Saturday. No thinking on Saturdays. I was thinking about how different everything is. I turned to face him. A year ago, I was drowning. Eviction notices, empty fridge, working myself to death just to barely survive. And now, now, you're exactly where you belong. He kissed my forehead. With me. In our home. Building our life, I tested the words, still marveling at them. Sometimes I can't believe this is real. Believe it. His hand found mine, fingers threading through mine, the ring pressing against both our skin. You're stuck with me now, Amor. Footsteps thundered down the hallway, 2 sets instead of 1. Papa, Maya! Luca took my markers. Did not. You left them in my room. The door burst open, and Sophie and Luca tumbled in, arguing with the passionate intensity only children could muster. Dante had brought his son home 2 months ago, deciding that distance wasn't protection, it was abandonment. Luca had been wary at first, this serious 6-year-old who'd spent 3 years in Swiss boarding schools. But Sophie had won him over with relentless enthusiasm and shared love of dinosaurs. Now they were inseparable. Whoa. Dante sat up, his voice carrying that perfect dad authority. What's the rule about Maya and Papa's room on Saturday mornings? Knock first, they chorused, not remotely apologetic. And did you knock? It's an emergency, Sophie insisted. Luca has my special purple marker, and I need it for my drawing. Luca's dark eyes, so like his father's, were stubborn. You said I could use your art stuff, not the purple. That's for unicorn manias only. I caught Dante's eye and saw laughter dancing there. This was our life now. Marker emergencies and Saturday morning invasions, and 2 children who'd formed their own alliance against parental authority. Okay. I climbed out of bed, pulling on my robe. How about we all go make pancakes, and Luca can help Sophie with her drawing? Team effort. Can I put chocolate chips in mine? Luca asked hopefully. Can Mr. Whiskers watch? Sophie added. Yes to both. Now go wash your hands while I start the batter. They raced off, already planning their pancake specifications, and Dante wrapped his arms around me from behind. This, he murmured against my hair. This is what I was fighting for. Not territory or power or revenge. This, you, them. Saturday morning pancakes and marker arguments and family. I leaned back into his strength, watching our children through the doorway. Do you ever regret it? Bringing Luca home? Choosing this instead of keeping him safe in Switzerland? Every day I wonder if I'm being selfish. His arms tightened. But then I see him laugh with Sophie, or watch him finally act like a 6-year-old instead of a tiny adult. And I know this is right. We protect them together. All of us. Marco appeared in the kitchen as we headed downstairs, coffee already brewing. He'd become more than a guard. He was family too, in his own way. Uncle Marco, Sophie called him, and he pretended to hate it while sneaking her extra cookies. Morning, boss. Miss Chun? He nodded, professional as always. Perimeter's clear. Quiet night. Thanks, Marco. Dante squeezed my hand. Take the morning. Come back at noon. After Marco left, Dante pulled me close, while Sophie and Luca argued over chocolate chip distribution. I never told you, he said quietly. I was thinking that night, when I knocked on your door. What were you thinking? That I was going to die? That I'd failed Luca, failed my father's legacy, failed everyone who depended on me. His eyes found mine. Then you opened the door, terrified and brave and willing to help anyway. And I thought maybe I'm not done yet. He kissed me softly. You saved my life twice, Maya. Once with your medical skills. Once by showing me life could be more than just surviving. You've saved mine too, I whispered. In every way that matters. Sophie tugged my sleeve. Mama, the pancakes? Mama. She'd started calling me that last month, naturally, like it had always been that way. And maybe it had. Maybe family wasn't just blood. It was choosing each other, day after day, building something beautiful from broken pieces. I made pancakes while Dante helped the kids set the table. Luca told elaborate stories about his Swiss boarding school. Sophie showed off her latest unicorn masterpiece. Marco returned with fresh pastries from our favorite bakery. This was my life now. guarded and complicated and sometimes dangerous, but filled with laughter and love and sticky-fingered children who called me Mama. Later that night, after the kids were asleep, I stood at our bedroom window looking out at the yard. Dante joined me, pulling me against his chest. "Any regrets?" he asked. I thought about that rainy night 8 months ago. The knock that changed everything. The choice to open my door to a bleeding stranger. "Not even one," I said. "Good." He turned me to face him. "Because I'm going to marry you, Maya-chan. Maybe next month. Maybe next year. But it's going to happen. You're mine, remember?" "Yours," I agreed, smiling. "And you're mine." Outside, the guards rotated shifts. Inside, our children slept safely. And in this moment, wrapped in Dante's arms in the home we'd built together, I finally understood. Sometimes the most dangerous choices lead to the safest harbors. Sometimes love finds you bleeding and desperate on your doorstep at 2 a.m. And sometimes, against all odds, you're brave enough to let it in. I'd opened my door to save a stranger's life. He'd given me a new one, and I was never looking back.